senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sandra.
Good to have you here.
Good to be with you. I was surprised at what she said. It's almost inconceivable that she would not have discussed this with the president. When the FBI engages in an investigation of this magnitude, they don't work in an isolated manner and then just pick up their work and hand it to the Justice Department. They work in tandem with the Justice Department. There are at least a half dozen federal prosecutors from the Justice Department working on a daily basis with the FBI. They ultimately all report to Loretta Lynch. So she, just like FBI Director Comey, is getting reports on a regular, consistent, systematic basis about what's happening.
So it sounds like you're not buying it.
Well, listen, I don't want to say that I disbelieve her. I just say it's unusual. It would be very unusual for her not to say the case against Mrs. Clinton is heating up. Pretty soon, you and I are going to have to make a decision. The FBI doesn't make the decision. The FBI produces the evidence in an apolitical, professional way. The Justice Department decides whether or not to present it to a grand jury. From what I have seen, just the public part of the evidence they have revealed, there is an overwhelmingly sufficient quantum of evidence to indict and to convict her. So the question is not what will the FBI do. The question is what will Loretta Lynch do? Will she let her prosecutors present this to her grand jury? If they do, Mrs. Clinton is indicted. If they don't, there's a lot of explaining to do.
Wow, and you seem like you want to jump in here.
Yeah, I will say that I disbelieve her. I mean, I don't know if Loretta Lynch and Barack Obama think we're stupid, but there's no way that they haven't discussed this. Look, she was over at the White House meeting with the president the day that he endorsed Hillary Clinton. There's no way somebody that's so concerned with his legacy would endorse without having a conversation like this. I don't buy it. I think that this is just political posturing. And, if the FBI subpoenaed me for my emails and I picked and chose which ones I handed over and I destroyed the ones that I didn't hand over, this would have already been settled. But because Hillary Clinton is who she is, she's without question gotten preferential treatment.
In the hypothetical you create, you would have been indicted for obstruction of justice.
Absolutely.
But your last name is not Clinton.
Exactly.
And you're not the likely Democratic nominee for president.
Thank you for clarifying, Judge. And we also want to get your take on this. The Supreme Court is expected to rule later today on the United States versus Texas lawsuit, which is testing the limit of the president's executive orders on illegal immigration. What do you expect here, Judge?
Well, I expect a decision today or a week from today because the court shuts down. It's not a bad job. You get a 3-month vacation. They shut down at the end of next week until the first Monday in October, and they release their major decisions, typically on a Monday or a Tuesday. There's only about 4 or 5 major decisions left. This is the case where the president changed the law or attempted to change the law with his executive orders. This is the case where he set the standards that would prevent the deportation of parents whose children are here lawfully, either because they were born here or because they obtained permanent resident alien status when the parents did not. This is the case where a federal judge enjoined, very rare in American history, enjoined the president from enforcing his own executive orders, and then a Circuit Court of Appeals, the Fifth Circuit sitting in New Orleans, upheld that injunction. If the Supreme Court splits 4-4, the injunction stays in place, but we do not have a decision on the merits. If the Supreme Court overrules the Circuit Court of Appeals, then the President of the United States of America has been permitted to rewrite the laws according to his own standards. This will last for the remainder of his term unless it is reinstituted by his successor or rejected by his successor.
Wow, all this coming down the last year.
Well, there's a bit of irony in there, given that there's been no vote, there's been no process for a new justice yet. It's a bit of irony there.
Well, if Justice Scalia were still sitting on the court, it is pretty clear where this would go. But without Justice Scalia, it's very hard to predict. The Chief Justice is notorious for crafting creative compromises. Often, if I may, compromises not based on history or precedent, but compromises intended to diffuse hot situations where there isn't a strong vote to go one way or another. Don't be surprised if we get something like that later this morning.
What would that look like, Judge? What would that kind of careful crafting compromise look like?
It might invalidate some of what the president did and permit some of what the president did, which would give each side a piece of the pie.
All right, good stuff. Judge, thank you for
You're welcome.
being here on all of that. And